10 reasons why you are not actually a failure, even if you have ADHD and feel like the laziest, most unproductive, most non achieved, most unaccomplished person in the world, in your friend group, in your high school class, in your college class, in your family. 10 reasons why. So, number 10, the game in and of itself is rigged and not in your favor. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the channel Financial Diet, but she has a lot of videos on class and all the intersectional realities of life in America. She uses the United States as like her area that she's focusing on. And one of the things she talked about was how generational wealth, not even to the level of billions of dollars, but just to the level of even being able to have your parents put down $20,000 or $30,000 on a down payment for a house for you doesn't just come from nowhere. It is generational, and it does play a part in how you achieve things, regardless of the outliers who came from poverty and achieved a lot. Most people in my generation, like the millennials and below, are not going to have the house and be able to afford the 2.5 kids and be able to work just up until the age of 55 or 60 and stop there. I think this is a reality that we very much know about and are aware of, just as we see the differences in what our parents were able to afford versus us. Some people did surpass what our parents were able to do, and many people did not. I'm one of those people who hasn't. But in terms of freedom and enjoying my life, well, I'll say that I'm just now starting to do that in a really intentional way, at this time. But I have had fun, but I feel like I've had just as much non-fun at the same time, but definitely also had struggles. Okay, number 9. Other people aren't really always doing as well as you think they're doing. Yes, with social media, we're going to see the highlight reel of most people's lives, but it's not always what you think it is. And they probably got there with help and support systems that you don't have. And they definitely, more than likely, got there without having an executive function challenge. I want to shy away from calling it a disorder because that's not all it is. It's many different things. ADHD is a superpower. It's a disorder. It's many different things. I mean, there's strengths and weaknesses that come along with having this, with having your brain be how it is. But I guarantee most of those people you're comparing yourself to do not have ADHD, right? And the ones who do, they have a support system. Like, look at the girl who does the ADHD channel, How to ADHD. She's married. When you have a partner in life who he's also like on her production team and helps create high quality produced videos that teach people about ADHD. Like, she's not doing that alone. So that's something that you have to really think about. One of the things that is easy to suffer with ADHD is this black and white, all or nothing thinking. So that leads me to number 8. You're not being realistic about what you have done. I was speaking to someone in one of my content creator groups. It seems like she didn't feel like she was confident to talk about certain things on her channel that I was pushing her to talk about because I think she's had pretty incredible experiences that people can learn from. I reminded her, please create a brag bank. And that reminded me and myself that I need to go back into my brag bank, which is not really like a resume, but it's kind of like just personal accomplishments that you've achieved that wouldn't necessarily always fit into the professional or always fit into the personal. Maybe it's just something that you wanted to do that you've done. Maybe an accomplishment is, hey, I didn't get triggered by that thing that someone said this time. I kept my cool throughout the entire conversation. Or I didn't have a panic attack on the last flight that I took. Whatever your accomplishments are, you need to celebrate the small wins so that you can be reminded of the fact that you're actually achieving something every day, even just by waking up and getting through the day. That can be extremely difficult with the amount of stress that a lot of people are experiencing, even as the vice of the cost of living in this country squeezes on everybody. Everybody's feeling it. That's going to disproportionately affect people who have ADHD, other disabilities, and who are Black. I mean, you keep piling it on. You could be in one of those situations. This is not for you to have pity on yourself. It's for you to put things in perspective and realize, like, if I'm still continuing to keep going, like, I need to give myself some credit for that. It's so easy to overlook your accomplishments. So get your brag bank and remember that you're probably not taking into account the accomplishments that you have done. Number 7, people try to downplay your efforts all the time. So while you are often your own worst enemy, sometimes it can be someone in your circle. So please guard your ideas, guard what it is that you want to produce in the world until it is developed enough, until where you are developed enough to where you're not affected by how these people react or don't react. You need to be focused, which is difficult, but at least focused enough to protect what it is that you have, because you could be feeling unaccomplished and like a failure because of the people around you. Number 6, if you have a partner who is unsupportive of you, or maybe they are in a higher social status or professional status than you, maybe you might be comparing yourself. And if they're not supportive of you, it could overshadow the progress that you're making because you're not necessarily running on the same race and starting at the same time. So be careful of how your position in the relationship actually affects your self-image. Number 5, you have to live life outside of the box. When you have ADHD, you will not even be in the same playing field as many other people when you have ADHD. And this reminds me of a dream that I had last night. Sometimes I have a dream where I'm at like this high school reunion and I'm just being myself and everybody else is being themselves, and people look like these grown-up versions of who I remember them to be in high school. And it's always nice to see these people, even though I wasn't super close with any particular person, but seeing these groups and how they move as adults is really interesting. And how I always think and wonder, how was I seen, and how do people perceive my life, just as a curiosity, not as an obsession. And I feel like people didn't know what to make of me or what I would be. And that actually makes me feel awesome. That actually makes me feel really good, because who wants to be figure outable? You know what I mean? Who wants to be predictable? Who wants to just go on and do like the picket fence and the 2 kids because it is expected of them? If it happened for you and that is the way you designed your life, sure. But I never just wanted to go down the beaten path. And the funny thing is, no matter what I want to do in life, it's really not that revolutionary. I want to travel. Like I want to see new places. There are people have been doing that for eons. There's nothing quite revolutionary about it. But I think the fact that it bucks what can be expected of someone can be very different and unpredictable. So make sure you think outside the box so that you don't even think of your accomplishments in this prescribed way. Like think about what you truly, truly want and get in touch with that so that you can know whether or not you've even achieved your own personal inherent milestones, Number 4. So this is something that is really huge when it comes to ADHD: time. Your relationship with time is different. With ADHD comes time blindness. If you think about it, it's kind of an amazing thing, because being that time is a concept anyway, it is a construct. I mean, really the only moment is actually now. You cannot touch the past. You cannot touch the future. It's all made up. The only moment that we actually have is now. I feel like ADHD people are actually really a lot more tapped into that than the average person walking around from day to day, especially in our society. One thing I loved about living in another country, one thing I loved about living in Mexico, is that their relationship with time was different. They slowed down the pace of a lot of things, because they knew that the moment was only now. And what is the rush? I actually want to know, what is the rush? What are we rushing towards? What? Towards death? Towards destruction? What is actually the rush? And so I think about that, and I love the way that people live when they're way more in sync with the now moment. So be in touch with the now moment, be in sync with the now moment, and you will have a lot more inner peace about your accomplishments, because you'll realize, I got all the time in the world. I can never get it wrong because I'm never get it done. That's from Abraham Hicks. You never get it wrong because you never get it done, and you never get it done, so you never get it wrong. You can keep achieving. You can keep reaching towards a goal. And remember, I said, even just going on another day is actually an accomplishment, especially if you take into account the fact that these little lessons are always being learned. in everyday life from day to day to day, from moment to moment. If you truly get still with life and get still with yourself and observe the way people communicate, the way nature behaves, just the interactions of people around you, the way animals react to things, the change of the weather. You can learn a lot by observation, and you can incorporate those lessons into things that you want to do in life. I know it's very vague, but if you listen again, you'll get my drift. So number 3, when it comes to feeling like a failure, another reason that you're not a failure is because you were literally you were an achievement just to even be born. I think a lot of sperm don't make it. A lot of eggs don't make it. They die on the vine. But hey, you're freaking here. And there's a lot to be said for that. You're already doing way more than a soul who hasn't incarnated wants to do, which is have this earthly experience, because it is an experience. You get to touch, you get to feel, you get to fall in love, get your heart broken, you get to try something, you get to fail, interact with different types of people who have a lot of similarities, but who are super different at the same time. I mean, isn't that interesting? You get to have a lot of pain, you get to have a lot of pleasure. This is an earthly experience. It's a school. And you can make the most of it. You could almost have any kind of adventure that you want if you really seek it out. There are people who have bucked these systems. So it's almost like I'm contradicting myself in a way, because in the beginning I said that the game is rigged and it's not necessarily in your favor. And that may be true. I think you have to take into account environment and other societal and economic and political influences. But at the same time, you can buck all of those currents by the power of using your mind and by the power of using your words to create a new reality and a new perspective about life. So I think that it's kind of both. I mean, take it into account, but also learn to be appreciative of what you have in the very position that you were born into, the family that you were born into, the lessons that you had to learn because of it, and then moving forward from there. Just by being here, you've accomplished something. And yeah, there's a lot of people who come, they create a lot of chaos, a lot of drama. They come, they hurt people. I think that they are going to receive the consequences of their actions. And so I can't say, you could be one of those people who's watching this, who's a total psychopath and going around and hurting people and murdering people and poisoning people and hurting puppies and kittens and just kicking them and all of this stuff. And you could be an awful person, totally and completely wasting your opportunity. But I'm just going to go ahead and assume that you're not. That you're actually here wanting to make your mark and make this world a better place, for which you do not have to be famous to do that. You don't have to be well known to do that. You could be adding beauty to the world and then walking away and no one ever knows who you are. Everyone has their place. Everyone has their part to play in this life, and not everybody who is making a huge impact in the world is super well known. I have to remind myself of that because I watch a lot of entertainment and I'm very interested in music, and these people are in the entertainment field. Although I'm just music is medicine. Music is not necessarily entertainment. Anyway, veering off track. So number 2, you're totally unique, by the way. You're totally unique. And if you tap into that, you won't have to worry about being unaccomplished. You're going to be able to make your mark in some kind of way. And it's going to be special. It's going to be special. So just stay tuned for yourself. Continue to observe yourself in your own life. And I think you'll be just fine. Number 1. Okay. So there is this saying in the Course in Miracles that says that arrogance is saying that you're anything but a child of God, because how can you be less than what God already created you to be? The way you're created is because you didn't create yourself. You can't duplicate yourself. You can't clone yourself. Yeah, they're out there doing it, but that clone is never like the original. If you notice, there's a lot of celebrities out there that I personally think are clones, because I'm just there's no way this person would be in their right mind doing this stuff. That's their clone. But whatever, I digress. You are complete original and you are meant to succeed in something. So just keep going. You will eventually figure it out. Like I said, I think you'll be just fine. God put in us something that's completely unique. So if we learn to tap into that, we will be just fine. And we will be able to fill up our brag bank sooner than later. And prove to ourselves that all of this struggle about figuring ourselves out wasn't in vain. You know, it actually was part of our particular journey. So let's support each other. Let's continue to ask questions. Let's be curious. Let's continue to take chances and share resources together. If you're a Black woman freelancer, there's a great community that I want to invite you to join. If you're an ADHD job seeker, there's another community that I'd like to invite you to join. It's more of just ask when you need it. The Black Freelancer Women's Group is really interactive right now. I suggest if you're into it, go ahead and join it, because I realize that even as Black women, the only way that we're going to be successful as entrepreneurs in larger numbers is if we continue to remain in community and actually hold each other accountable to get the things done that we said that we were going to do, hold each other up in high esteem and trust each other, barter and share resources with each other, and basically generally support each other in this way that only we can do. But this video is for everybody. This video is for anyone who could take something from it. Definitely take care and continue dreaming happy dreams, because what else is life for but to feel good and have fun and take chances?